If you will consent to burden your soul with a vow that you should never make and a knowledge you should never dream about, I will promise you in return...
You will promise me in return...
I will promise you a very entertaining evening.
Your offer is far too idiotic to be declined. Permit me here and now to promise as a good comrade and a fellow artist that I will not report any of this, whatever it is, to the police.
Because I love to say it, it rolls off the tongue. The definitive step-by-step dance guide for warlord necromancers and enthusiasts. It's so you're leaning into the weird a little.
Yeah, definitely. But
Dave's rolling.
Welcome to Abandoned Albums, the documentary podcast. Each week, your intrepid hosts, Keith R. Higgins and Geoff Calhoun, talk to artists about albums that may have been overlooked or forgotten. Keith and Geoff dig deep into the record crates to unearth the albums you may not even know existed. They also shine a light on and chat with up-and-coming artists whose work we here at Thunderlove Studio have on repeat.
Since we're all strangers to each other, let's get acquainted with a drink, shall we?
The advent of digital has made new music discovery so much easier. But it also, I think, your sensitivity to greatness dulls because there's so much new music. So when I find an artist, especially when it's something that you can sense youth in, when you can tell, like, this person is at the beginning of their creative journey. And here's this band, Cool Sorcery, and I was like, all right, I'll lend it an ear. And it instantly went on like every mixtape, every best of 2022. The song Detonation that I just wore out, man. If it had been a cassette, I would have worn out the tape. This band,
for sure,
it scratches a specific itch for me. I love the ADD element of it. You know, this guy's all about the 2-minute songs. I love the weirdo stuff that you pick up and go, well, that was a strange change, but I liked it. I like the dancey element combined with the weird, like, industrial element and the punk element and the bedroom production. Sometimes bedroom production sounds great, and if you've got somebody that has a little bit of talent, and this guy does. So, Brazilian artist, very fun to discover someone from another country. Interesting to me,
for sure, yeah,
that I get such strong early Devo vibes from this guy, and felt like it must be a direct influence, and then find out maybe you don't have to be a Devo fan to channel Devo energy in a way that is fresh and great. Yeah,
those quick, powerful
cool
songs.
In ways
Bang.
that, like,
in and out.
I bounced it off certain friends and was getting great feedback in like obscure references. You know, like one friend of mine listened to Cool Sorcery and said, "Oh, I hear this like Halloween themed surf rock band," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, yeah." I guess I could see that. And then, you know, some of the song titles and the album titles are just great. So we will get into that. We're going to ask about all of those things and more in this episode of Abandoned Albums. Stick around for our conversation with Cool Sorcery.
Hi, Marcos.
Hey guys, can you hear me? Good.
You sound great. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like if there's any lag or something like that, just let me know.
So we should say up front, if there is any potential lag, Marcus is joining us from Brazil tonight.
Yep.
Let's jump in because Cool Sorcery. Make sure I'm pronouncing it right. Marcos Assis.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. Well done, Geoff.
Yeah.
But Marcus is the one-man band, Cool Sorcery. You had a insane 2022. This is a project that's just barely in its infancy, and yet you had 4 big releases in 2022.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's been crazy. Like I didn't like when I first released my first EP. I was expecting like for my only my 3 friends to hear it, and suddenly all these people came to hear this stuff, and it's been crazy, man.
You had, tell me which one was first. When, Intergalactic Void Boys, Definitive Step by Step, or With Love? What is the order of those 4?
Yeah, so the first one was When, and it was funny because with Love Maggie, the album that came after, I only made that album because the first one got not so many views, but it got like such attention that I felt like so hyped about it, and I ended up making With Love Maggie in like 1 week, and like not completely like ready to release. Like all the songs that are in With Love Maggie, like I prepared in 1 week. But yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah. 1 week.
And I got so lucky because I released When like wanting nothing. Like I said, I was expecting only my 3 friends to listen to it. And this guy from Poland, he runs a music YouTube channel, which he finds stuff on Bandcamp and he posts on his YouTube channel. So somehow he saw my album and my EP, and he posted that album, the EP, on his channel.
That's great.
And when I found out about that, I was like shocked. I was expecting 3 people to listen to my stuff, and there are just 2,000 people that listen to that video. So I got so hyped, and I made everything, like all the other releases I made super fast because I was super hyped. Like with Love Maggie, like I said, I was in 1 week, and then as I was making With Love Maggie, I was also making Void Boys, which was the next release. And after that, it was the step-by-step dance guide, which I don't think I need to say the entire name of the thing.
No. It's worth repeating many times. It is one of my favorite release titles.
The definitive step-by-step dance guide for warlord necromancers and enthusiasts. That was my last 2022 release.
Yes.
And
Way to go out with a bang.
yeah. And yeah, man, that was the order of the releases. It was all because of hype, because I was really pumped about people listening to my stuff every day.
It's a tremendous amount of enthusiasm to carry you through 4 releases. Keith and I are always looking to one up one another with our latest musical discovery, and I'm sure we all have friends like that. The people that you're like, hey, check this band out. I sent Cool Sorcery to a friend just to kind of get a vibe check, and he said, "Oh my God, it reminds me of the Ghastly Ones." Now, not a household name, the Ghastly Ones.
No.
But connoisseurs of the genre would know them as sort of a horror punk surf rock band. So you've got like that reverby twang on the guitars that drives a lot of the Ventures and Dick Dale. You've got some of the Halloween spooky themes that drive something like the Groovy Ghoulies, and it's kind of there in the middle. And I thought, because I think the song that I sent him was Potion for You.
Okay.
Yeah, please tell me. I can't take it anymore. I'm so alone. Dark ran away. Now you're gone. Should I call you right now? Remember, please tell me. Can I take you back now? Why not? Please tell me. I mean it. Chill song.
It wasn't even a song off of the definitive step-by-step dance guide for warlords, necromancers, and enthusiasts, which I would read the title and go, oh, they're kind of, they've got a thing. No, I sent him something from With Love Maggie, and he goes, oh, it's the Ghastly ones. They sound great. So I'm curious to start pulling some threads on influences and see if surf rock is something that is informing you when you write your music.
Oh, for sure. Including Dick Dale is one of my absolute heroes. And it's actually funny because back when I was starting to make my own stuff for Cool Sorcery, I was into bands like Fiddler, mostly punk rock, garage rock things, Bass Drum of Death. Those was like my favorites. So my first songs for Cool Sorcery was actually very influenced by those bands, recent bands, but they did not make it through the official thing because it was only when my friend from high school showed me about the OCs. I don't know if you guys ever heard it.
I could hear some OC's influence in you.
Yeah, definitely, man. It shocked me completely when I first heard it, and I was totally blown away by what John Dwyer do with his songs, album after album. Like, it's a totally different thing, and that inspired me a lot to, like, get a better view of what can I do for my music, like think more freely rather than sticking to one genre. You feel me? Like,
totally.
The first songs was like all garagey rock and stuff, but after like hearing to the OCs and King Gizzard, whatnot, and I was like, these dudes, like, they can make anything sound good, and they can like do whatever they want with their sound, and will sound like them, somehow. So I wanted to get this kind of feel to my songs, my releases, not like sticking to one type of sound.
You can't get away with the crunch, because the crunch always gives you away.
Your music does something for me that is a little bit nostalgic, and I've got to be twice your age, Marcus. I'm taking a guess here.
I'm as Gen Z as it can get, bro.
So I go back to, and Keith, do you remember the first time you heard the very first Devo record? And it opens with Uncontrollable Urge, which, then was kind of a weird throwaway track, but now because it's been in so many commercials and it's become sort of a global phenomenon, like you can't not hear yeah, right? Like I am taken back to 1978 Devo through your music, and here you are like no, it's all like modern stuff, but I totally hear it.
Mostly, yeah. Like back when I was just a little child, I remember my father had this CD player where you could put 3 CDs on it, It was crazy. It was very awesome. And I remember I always, like every day, I would hear to the same three same CDs. It was Nirvana, I think, the Nevermind CD, and Red Hot Chili Peppers, which I forgot the name of the album.
That's all right.
But no, it's Californication here.
Okay,
and Dancing with Ronald McDonald.
What?
It was like this CD McDonald's has released, like I think in 2005, I don't know, 4, and it got this really like childish tunes, and I would like to listen to it right after Nirvana and Red Hot Chili Peppers. And like every day, man, every day.
That makes total sense. So,
yeah.
And how flippin' wild that I can say listening to Nirvana and Dancing with Ronald McDonald makes sense. I want to talk about the song Detonation, because this was the song, Keith, for me.
I know what place my love.
and this came out in December, so we're talking 7 months ago. I saw it on somebody's end of the year, like these are my favorite songs of the year list. Checked it out, was like, this is amazing. It is Devo meets the White Stripes, like it is spazzy punk, and then about halfway through the song, you flip a switch and go someplace very Ronald McDonald-y.
Yeah. It's the Triforce, man. It was Nirvana, Red Hot, and McDonald's.
I love it. I absolutely love it. That song, if it's got 100,000 spins on Spotify, man, I'm probably half of them. I can't get enough of that tune.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if I'm sober enough to talk about why I did this track, because it's a very funny backstory. It has a very funny backstory. It shouldn't exist. It shouldn't be in that album, but it was this one thing that happened in my life that made me do it. Anyways, and it's super silly. I don't know if I'm ready to talk about this.
Oh man, you're on Abandoned Albums podcast, man. You gotta share it.
I don't know. It must be some Destiny shit, because it's my most listened music on Spotify right now, and actually one of my favorites to do it. So, and it got like that vibe that I was describing earlier, which you can mix like a lot of stuff in one track. And my next releases are like, most of it is gonna be following that same path, switching between genres in the same song, and stuff like that. I really love like playing with those things, and not be sticking to just one type of genre. Like I know most of my stuff is more punk sided, but I like to play with a lot of things.
What would you say you do here?
You are described as a prolific lo-fi genius.
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far.
You're also described as or introduced as producer Marcos Assis. Do you see yourself as a producer ahead of being a musician or an instrumentalist?
Yeah, for sure. I think I've studied more stuff about production than learning instruments in my life. I remember like taking a few classes of the drums when I was like 12, but for all the other instruments like guitar, the keyboards, and singing, I did all by ear, by finding it out how to do it by myself. But production, it's a whole different beast, There's so much to learn every day, and I don't know, I feel like I've spent more time learning about production stuff than knowing what a scale is. But yeah, man, I think that's correct. I feel like I'm more of a producer than an, I don't know, an instrumental nerd.
It's funny. One of the notes that I have describing the music is spazzy, and I wonder if maybe that's you being as Gen Z as it gets, as you say. Maybe I'm just a little older, but there's a real spastic energy sprinkled throughout the tunes. Is this something you take out and perform live with? Because I imagine there's a hella energy to that.
Yeah, it certainly is spazzy, and it's certainly because I'm Gen Z. But it certainly because I have ADHD. So you mix everything and you got Cool Sorcery. But yeah, live, man, playing live, it's a different beast also, because one thing is you being in your bedroom doing your thing, and you're the king of the world, but once you go on stage, it's a different stuff. It was a challenge at first because I had to play like 3 instruments at the same time, and also sing. So it was pretty wild to get the hang of it, but it all worked fine in the end. I guess it's like getting to practice and get out of the bedroom more. But it was intense. Like the first rehearsals I had, I was kind of lost because there's songs that I use the synthesizer, there's songs that I use the harmonica, and while I was playing in the first rehearsals, I forgot the first rehearsal. I forgot to bring my harmonica, and as we were playing, like there's this section. I think it was Sir Colin's Castle, and we were playing, and then it come in to the section that I need to play the harmonica, and I was like, oh, I forgot my harmonica back in home. So there was so much stuff involved that I need to be aware of, but it all worked in the end.
Marcos, let me ask you a question. What's the significance of the name Cool Sorcery?
Like the lyrics, they don't mean anything. Like it's just nonsense. I thought it sounded cool, so right, let's use it. But no, there's not a deep like meaning to it. It's just because I liked it how it sounded. And yeah, speaking of the lyrics, it's the same thing. Like I'm not a very talkative person, so writing lyrics for me, it's very difficult. It's like one of the most difficult parts when I'm doing a song. So I use bedroom punk as an excuse because most of the bands that do bedroom punk, you can barely hear the vocals. So I thought, well, if the listener can't hear the vocals, like they don't need to know what I'm singing. So I can write whatever the hell I want and mix it very muddy and very like lo-fi, that whatever. So that was my excuse to write a few lyrics that don't have a very deep meaning to it.
Well, I think you're being a little modest. You're a very fun follow on Instagram because there's a lot of visualization that comes with these releases, and obviously you had 4 releases in 1 year. You've got a nice stockpile of art to work with, but there's something there's a vibe to Cool Sorcery.
Yeah, for sure. Like I try to, I don't know, like make this build a word around it, like the whole frog thing that I use in my profile picture, to all the cover arts I do for the albums. Not actually I do, my friend do. I actually try to build a word around all this, and try to make something out of it. I don't know, like a story or something like that.
It's there, man. It's definitely there. I mean, that's what makes the band interesting. Is it's not just spazzy. There's some craft to it. So let's talk about bedroom punk.
Yeah, I was going to ask because that's a new thing for me. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, so bedroom punk, it's a very recent um, subgenre of punk, I believe. And for me, like, it first felt like a punk for losers, you know. So I felt right at home when I first heard it. I don't know, like, who the first band came up with this name or this vibe that bedroom punk has, but yeah, I think I first heard it in 2020, and I was making, like, the first album for Cool Sorcery wasn't actually When. It was a whole total different thing. It has my inspirations were more like the ones I said earlier, like Fiddler, Bass Drum of Death, those guys, and it had a total different vibe to it and sound. Like, I mix it differently from what it is today. But once I heard bedroom punk for the first time, and it was all this, it's bad but it's good, you know, sound. I felt inspired to, like, make my songs in that vibe, you know, that lo-fi thing, because I don't know, I think it was different, and I was kind of fed up of the clean and well-produced songs. I don't know. And so I found Belgian punk and how it sounded like so weird and new that I felt inspired to mix my songs like the bands I was listening. And yeah, I don't think I got much to say because it's a very new subgenre, I think.
It's amazing. So, you know, Keith, we talk about that band Daisy, where, you know, he talks about making that entire record with one microphone in his bedroom, which still blows my mind. It sounds like that's almost a cottage industry, like all those groups that you've listed: Fiddler, Bass Drum of Death, you know, Turnstile, probably to some extent.
Yeah.
You know, that there's something to it.
Definitely. Like, I don't go as near as some bands go with the weirdness on the sound they make.
Once again, because I love to say it, it rolls off the tongue. The definitive step-by-step dance guide for warlord necromancers and enthusiasts. It's you're leaning into the weird a little.
Yeah, definitely. But I've heard some very weird stuff. Like, trust me, there are some bands that really go wild out there, but in this subgenre.
Well, I think that's what's appealing. That's where I want to tip my cap to you. Is I think it's easy to crank out something that is listenable. I don't think it's easy to crank out something that really, because you're probably working with a very minimal budget, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
And yet your record stands toe to toe with records that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to make. There's something to be said for the skill that you're bringing to the production element of it that elevates the music. I mean, they're good tunes too. Like, there's something fun and quirky and consistent. Because it would be one thing if I just liked Detonation and kind of wrote this off as like, oh, cool, that guy wrote a good song. But as I go back and listen to the rest of it, I'm like, Potion for You, great song. Mud Surfer, great song. You know, with and the most recent stuff with God Inside a Human Machine, which is also a little sci-fi and cool sounding. Yeah. I feel like you got a little bit darker on some of your synth tones, and then a song like Qubit Wormhole. It's just fun to say your song titles, man.
Yeah, this last release, it's part of a split I did with The Deer, which is an internet band from USA. I totally like what we were first, when we were discussing what we were gonna do with this split, and the theme for it. We kind of landed in this synthy, dark place, that we wanted to make this release. So, firstly, like I didn't want to put any guitars on it, only synths, distorted synths, and even bass. Like I wanted to have only like bass synths, like really heavy stuff. And those were like the first tracks that I sent to them. But in the end, I end up like adding some guitars.
You couldn't help yourself, huh?
Couldn't help myself. But yeah, it definitely got a darker tone, and I experimented a lot with synths this time, because the older releases, I don't know, I only use it like an organ or something like that. But in this last one, I really like dig it deep in the synth world and learn a bunch of stuff, which in the end it whatever, because I added a bunch of distortion and ended up fucking up all the stuff that the sample that I was doing with the synth. So yeah,
when you start to, as you say, fuck up the tones,
yeah,
and apply distortion, are you working with guitar pedals, synths, modular synths? Tell me some of your favorite gear right now.
Yeah, so for DW, I go with the one which I was introduced when I was 15, when I first started getting to this world, which is FL Studio, which is a very Gen Z thing. And yeah, I stick to it to this day. And for like getting those distorted tones, I often use guitar pedals, and yeah, I've basically used distortion on everything. The same pedal for my vocals, for the guitars and synths and everything else. And I think that's pretty much it. I like to play a lot with distortion and flangers. Yeah, those are like my go-to effect for when I'm doing something for Cool Sorcery. It's always distortion and a phaser. So yeah, guitar pedals mostly.
Rock and roll! Here we go! Hello, Cleveland! Hello, Cleveland! Let's go there!
You must have made a long time.
We gotta go another way.
So, bedroom punk, something that sounds mostly self-contained, but you mentioned rehearsals, and it sounded like maybe for the live band, there's more than just you.
Yeah. So for the live, I talked with three friends I had, which played in other bands, and also my brother that's playing bass for me. And we got together and we started doing gigs and stuff. In the beginning, it was easy because they already listened to my songs, but here in Brazil, it's kind of difficult to find people that vibe to the bedroom punk. And yeah, I don't know, because it's a kind of a new thing. people here, I don't think listen to it yet, but in the shows, people seems like they like it. I don't know. But yeah.
See, you could have told me that in Brazil there is a uprising of bedroom punk, and that it's common and you can find it on every corner, and I would have believed you, because I don't know what is. Give us a little more color on the scene there in Brasilia.
There's no scene, I believe, yet, but there is punk rock scene that was always here. But mostly it's just pop music, funk music. The whole rock spectrum is kind of dying out, but there's still people that listen to it and go to festivals to listen to some bands, but yeah, I hope, I don't know, I inspired a few to also make more bedroom punk from Brasilia, I believe, or Brazil. But yeah, I because I don't think I've ever heard another bedroom punk band from here, but
I haven't heard a bedroom punk band, period.
Yeah. So you can see how new is the thing.
You seem like the type of dude that would be amazing to attend a movie festival with. Like I could see you getting down on like old horror movies and stuff.
Oh, that would be so fucking cool. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I figured it out. I know where I want to seat you in my brain, and that is in the middle of the Psycho Fest festival lineup out in Las Vegas, in the middle of the whole like Ralph Steadman acid trip, splatter, as many weird different inspirations as you can, set it against a bunch of ladies in bikinis poolside and a couple dashes of heavy metal and punk rock, and put yourself a festival on. That's where I want to see your band.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, me too. Totally.
That's actually my picture of Brazil.
Yeah, dude. Totally. Yeah, man. Like I hope to get festivals on USA. It sounds incredible.
Well, I'm totally sending this episode to the people at Psycho, which is where I took my honeymoon. Thank you very much.
I'm not touching that one. What is a day like? What's an average day like for you, Marcos? For us Americans? You're a musician. You work. You go to school. You're in college.
Yeah. So I'm in college. I'm a geologist.
Oh.
And to do the same things at the same time, it's really hard, but I try to kind of separate my day between, I don't know, I'll separate 4 hours to work with my music stuff, then go back to geology stuff. And I don't know, in my free time, when I have a free time, or when we are on a holiday, I spend the entire day doing music and stuff like this because, yeah, college. So I have to any free time I have, I need to spend with music. And
I have to be honest with you, after listening to your work, I am in no way surprised that you are studying geology. And I mean that in the best possible way. I mean, I think that's great. Had you told me you were like, I don't know, pre-dentistry, I might have been a little bit disturbed, but I'm like,
I could see that one too.
That's on brand. I appreciate that. Cool.
Yeah. It's a random thing. Like when I say this to people, they look a bit confused too. So,
No.
but yeah.
Have you been to the States ever? Your English is better than some people I know.
Oh, that's sweet of you. But no, I've never been to the States before, actually, and I've never been out of Brazil before. And yeah, like I hope like soon I can go to festivals and stuff, but as today I've never stepped the foot out of Brazil.
All right. Well, Brazil's a pretty big country. It would.
Oh yeah.
A lot there. Awesome. Yeah. Well, you're welcome. Here, you have two solid fans, one in the Northeast and one in the South.
It's true.
Amazing.
It's true. Hey, man, we've heard in 4 releases. That's like one every 3 months, man. That's wow. Such an output. Over 4 releases, we've heard you flirt with punk and sometimes electro. Like there's one song that I was like, is he about to go off in some kind of like drum and bass direction with this shit? There's weird like electro punk that leans into like the faint. You've touched the palette that you paint from touches a lot of different colors. You draw from many inspirations.
I think you were talking about refactoring from.
I am.
Yes.
I am.
Yeah.
Nice one. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, I love drum and bass actually, but.
What do you see as next for Cool Sorcery?
So yeah, man, I think it's soon. It's too soon to say, but I want to like experiment with more different stuff. I don't know, man. I just want to go crazy and keep experimenting with crazy things and all these crazy inspirations that drive me to make music, you know. And I guess like being in Brazilian, which you grown up listening to everything, that kind of influences me in my music, because you get one day you hear samba, the next day you're hearing USA punk rock, then from 80s punk rock, and then it's just a mess, and I love that, and that for sure like influences my music. So for the future, like I want to keep experimenting with things and not sticking to one thing like ever, but in a way which I can still have that middle spot, you know, for Cool Sorcery.
I think that's the interesting thing about other countries. Here in the States, our radio is pretty homogenized. But if you go outside into other areas, I mean, I was in Ireland once and listening to Irish radio, you could hear a wide swath of different genres. Yeah. It wasn't just pop. It wasn't just dance. It would go, you know, so that's pretty cool.
Growing up in Brazil, you hear all sorts of things. I think you go to I don't know, you go around the world, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's really fun to me. And I'm very grateful for my parents for presenting me, for showing me so many different music.
Not every kid grows up listening to Nirvana, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Ronald McDonald.
Dancing with Ronald McDonald, yeah.
Oh,
For
man.
sure.
Keith, I surely hope you can find a clip of that one, man. Well, hey, man, I really do enjoy your perspective and the output. It's been super duper fun listening to all of your jams for the past year. So I know that the pace that you're at cannot be sustained. We can't expect 4 releases a year, but I am stoked to hear more from you. So keep doing what you're doing. It's working.
It is
cool. Yeah, I'll definitely keep doing it. Like you said, I don't think I will do another year with 4 releases. That was crazy. I'm for sure. I know this for a fact that I lost at least 5 years of from my life because it was crazy. Like doing all that stuff last year. It was intense, but sure. Yeah.
It's an outrageous outpouring of inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Marcos, thank you very much.
This man.
Very enlightening. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Keith and Geoff, for having me. That was awesome.
Absolutely.
Very sweet of you guys.
Yeah, love having you.
Hey, thanks again, man. This was really fun.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks, absolutely. Marcos. Take care. Bye-bye.
Drowning in tears, certainly now.
Many thanks to Marcos for his time and for helping take the show global. Be sure to check out our show notes section for links to the Cool Sorcery socials, as well as their Bandcamp page. You will also find links to a bunch of the things that may have had you scratching your head during the episode.
Our theme song is Rocket Sled by Blip. Abandoned Albums was recorded at Thunderlove Studios.
Written and produced by Keith R. Higgins and Geoff Calhoun.
Engineered and mixed by Steve Beasley with the help of Mike Hunt. Edited by AJ Royce.
You heard the following Cool Sorcery songs during tonight's episode: Cruisin', Potion for You, Detonation, Qubit Wormhole, Refactoring, and Mud Surfing. You can stream the Cool Sorcery catalog wherever you stream your favorite music. And if you really want to make friends, be sure to visit their Bandcamp page and support independent artists.
Original music by Mike Pellegrino.
If you like what you've heard, please be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating. It really does help. Thanks for listening.
At Twitter, we are at Abandoned Albums, and on Instagram, we are at Abandoned_albums.
Grazie. Bailey Leaf. Rob Janicki. Mike Pellegrino. Therina Vella. Ronnie Barnett. S.W. Loudon. Michael Janicki. Peyton Janicki. And our executive producer.
This is Thunderlove.
Abandoned Albums receives funding from the Vandelay Latex Group. Latex, the way it should be.
And now, until we meet again next time, I remain as always obediently yours.
Abandoned Albums is a production of Paw Print Media.